I'm gonna be giving you all a complete guide on how to fully complete the journal on Dig. Let's get right into this. So I'm gonna be going from place to place and showing you the best spots to dig, because some of the items in here can only be dug in certain locations. Like for an example, Mount Cinder. Some of these items can only be dug in the snow, some can only be dug in the rocks, some have to be dug inside the cave, and then some have to be dug inside the tunnels. So it's not as easy as it looks, but we're gonna be going from place to place and I'm gonna be giving y'all a guide on every single one. So first off, before we even start completing the journal, there's a few items that I recommend getting. Of course, a good shovel, because the better shovel you have with like more luck and more strength, the easier it's gonna be. And also good charms. For your charms, I recommend having strength combined with luck. It also kind of depends on your shovel. If your shovel has like low strength or low control, then you definitely need to get those. But for the Starfire, for example, this is the loadout that I used right here. So I use this for like the second half. I have strength right here combined with the solstice spell, because the solstice spell actually provides a lot of luck. So if I go down to it, this is the one that I have equipped, which gives me plus 6 luck, which is actually pretty insane, especially whenever you're trying to get hard items. Also, I do recommend getting the lava boots. You don't need them for the beginning, but we will need them for about charcoal. And also, I do recommend getting a shovel with low luck. So we want the wooden shovel right here. This is the one that you start off with, but we do also want the magnet shovel, which where is it? Here it is right here. So this is what the magnet shovel looks like. We want this just because it has minus 100 luck. So this will make it super easy to get those common items, because even though they are common, sometimes you just have so much luck that it's hard to get them. So that's why we have the magnet shovel, and you can get that inside the Cinder Cavern. But anyway, let's just start this tutorial. So we're gonna be starting off with Fernhill Forest. So for quite a bit of these items, you do want to get them inside Foxtown, which also the descriptions can kind of help you. I mean, the descriptions go away once you go ahead and unlock them, but I have my ult count over here, for example. Also, just ignore the potato graphics. We're just using it to see. So if you go ahead and click on the item, sometimes it can tell you where it's found. So found on the shores and beaches, which of course this one is inside this tab. But for an example, let's find one in Fernhill Forest. So this one right here can be found laying in common grass and gravel. So this one, we don't want to be digging on rocks to try to get this, but we want to be digging in the grass and gravel. And it really helps out for these later ones. Such as the legendaries, they can really help. Such as this right here, it says can only be found chipped off the walls of stone in Fernhill Forest. So for this one, for example, since it mentions stone, we would want to dig on top of stone and not grass, because we won't be able to get on there. So make sure you look at the descriptions, but also look at the preferences. So preferences down here, so summer season and no preferred weather. So that means this item is easiest to get during the summer. And you can check what season it is by looking down here at the bottom right. So right here we can see that it's daytime, and that we can also see that it's spring, and we can also see that it's clear weather. So the season is spring and the weather is clear. So that will help out for specific items. You don't need to worry too much about the low tier items down here, because those are so easy to get that the seasons don't even matter. But for items such as the divines and mythicals, you do definitely want to pay attention to the weather, such as this one right here, summer season. So we would most likely want to grind towards this in the summer. Also, what I recommend doing is seeing what season it is. So for an example, spring, and then go to your list over here and just look for all items that have the preferred season of spring. So you don't need to like fully complete Fernhill Forest, then fully complete Verdant Vale. You don't have to go down in a list. I recommend just hopping around. Like since the season is spring right here, most items in Cinder Shores actually recommend spring weather, such as this right here. This is one of the hardest items. This was actually my second to last item that I needed right here, but as we can see, preferred weather spring, and then it's the same with most of these items. So we would want to grind towards these during the spring weather. But now that we got most of the tips out of the way, I'm gonna show y'all where each of these are found. So for most of the commons, you can find them in Foxtown. So just go ahead and start digging with your shovel that has a bunch of luck, because for some of the legendaries, you can also only find them in Foxtown. I forgot which one it was, but I mean, you can read the descriptions, because one of them said that it can only be found in Foxtown. So make sure you do read that and then grind towards that. Also in the beginning, I only recommend focusing on the hardest ones. So the hardest ones such as the divines, mythicals, and legendaries, you only want to focus on those in the beginning, because while you're grinding towards those, you'll most likely get most of these scarce, unusual, and common items. And then after we unlock all the legendary, mythical, and divine items, if we have any like common, unusual, or scarce items left over, we can go in with our wooden shovel and possibly even our magnet shovel, and then we can easily get those items. So only focus on the hard ones at the beginning. But anyway, for most of these items, you can go ahead and just find them laying around in the grass. Same with most of the legendaries. Looking at them, almost all the legendaries you can find in the grass, even the pet rock, I believe. But for the pet rock and the cave painting, especially this one right here, the cave painting, you do want to dig on top of rock. So if you dig in the grass, this is where we'll find most items. But for the rock cave painting, we are gonna want to go on like one of these rocks, for an example, or maybe even this one over here, just a rock with a flat surface, and then we'll want to start digging on it, and then that is where we can get that rock cave painting. Same with all the other rock items in here, which actually that's like the only rock item. But anyway, almost all all of these items I just got laying around in the grass. The only ones that I got in the rock are this right here, the mythical art, and also the cave painting, and also the quartz and tungsten, and all these other rock elements. All those I got in the rock, but other than that, pretty much everything in the Fernhill Forest I got lying around in the grass. Anyway, let's go down to Verdant Vale. Also, I forgot to mention, make sure you get the item detector at Foxtown. This costs $10,000, but it shows you where abundances are, which this can be very helpful. Like for an example, it can show us where a scarecrow abundance is, and basically abundances make it a lot easier to get that item. So we're very likely to get the scarecrow item in a scarecrow abundance. So this is really good for getting common items and legendary items. Like there is a legendary pig abundance over here, I believe, unless they removed it. And nope, there it is right there. So make sure you get that because it can really help you out. But anyway, for most of these items, you can just get in the grass. This is probably one of the easiest places because for like almost every single item, you just get in the grass. There are abundances like a tractor engine abundance and a steering wheel abundance. I believe those are somewhere. Yep, so right there, tractor engine, steering wheel, apple. So make sure you do get the item detector. Pig is right in front of the barn right there, right by the doors. And then the divine can be found anywhere in the grass. Same with this pistol right here. For an example, I got the divine scarecrow just in this area right here. So this area just in plain grass, that is where I got the divine item. And then for the fuzzballs, this is actually a boss. So this is a boss that has a chance to spawn in Verdant Vale. It's not too rare, it's actually a pretty common boss. And also it's a pretty easy boss, so you have to wait for it to spawn, and then it has a low chance of dropping both of these items right here. So that is how you get those. Anyway, now for Cinder Shores. Also, these items are looking pretty easy to get right now, but it does get more complicated later down the line. Like all of these ones, for the first like 6, they're all either found in like grass or rock, but it does get more complicated down below, so make sure to stay tuned. But anyway, for Cinder Shores, most of these items can just be found in the sand, but for the items that say fossil, those are most likely found in the rock, such as this right here. This one is not found in the sand, this one is only found in rocks, so you would want to dig in there. All of these items, pretty sure all of these are just found in sand. For both of these items, which actually for all 4 of these items right here, I found these both in rock and sand, so it doesn't really matter. But for this one right here, mythic fossil, this one is most likely found in rock, and then this one is found in rock as well, which for this one, there's no like specific location. I mean like in rock of course, but there's not like a certain area over here. I did grind for it like right here on top of these rocks. There's not an abundance or anything, but I just grinded for it on top of these rocks right here because one of my friends said they got it close to the ferry over here. So I just went over here, grinded on top of these 2 rocks, and that is where I got it. Also, once again, make sure you have the item detector and you're looking for abundances because I believe there is a palm tree abundance, and nope, never mind, that's coconut. Yeah, make sure you're looking for these abundances because they can really help you out, especially with the common items, because you'll most likely have too much luck that the common items are just kind of hard to get. So these common abundances really help out. Anyway, now for the rooftop woodlands, this is where it gets a bit more complicated. Not much, but just a little bit. And similar to the other areas, most of these items can be found in the grass, but there's one item in particular, which is the skeleton hand, that can only be found in the graveyard. So the graveyard kind of go like towards the merchant or whatever, and then just go behind them like in this direction, and then you'll find a graveyard back here, and basically the skeleton hand can only be found in the graveyard, which not gonna lie, it took me a long time. I had like meteor showers down, luck boost, and everything, but for some reason I just like could not get the skeleton hand, and it took me ages. But anyway, you can also get the ghost in here and all this other stuff. All this other stuff you can find anywhere in the rooftop woodlands, but the skeleton hand in particular can only be found in the graveyard. My friend got this first try, but I got like every single item in here. Like I got this item, the Finn sword, I got this like 10 times before I got the skeleton hand. So you can get all these items in the graveyard, and you can get all of them besides the skeleton hand just anywhere in the grass. So this area pretty simple, but now this is where it starts to get more difficult. Cinder Cavern. So this is where it starts to get a bit more complicated. If you want, you can start digging for items up here, but I recommend just going down the elevator before you start digging for items, because I don't think there's any item that you get up here that you can't get down there. But anyway, just go all the way to the end and go down the elevator, because once again, I don't think that there's a single item that you get up here that you can't get down there. So let's just go and hop in and let's prepare. So while we're waiting for the elevator, I'm just gonna give y'all a quick talk on most of these items. So all the common, unusual, and most of these scarce items, you can just get these anywhere in the deep caverns. Same with the legendaries, which I mean not Transonite. I'll show y'all where to get this, but almost all of these items you can get anywhere. The only ones that you can't get anywhere are Transonite, the celestial crystal, the giant spider, think the mushroom, and diamond. But everything else you can pretty much get everywhere. But I'll show y'all a spot where I got every single divine, mythical, and legendary all in one singular spot, so you can go ahead and grind there. And here we go, we're now in the cavern, and also this is where you get the magnet shovel, by the way. So if you need help, that is where you get it. And oh, I guess you can also get the metal detector down here. So anyway, let's get and spawn in our car real quick. So once again, most of these items you can just get anywhere, but there's a few items that you can only get in specific places. So first off, we're gonna be starting starting off with the spider's cave. So for this, go ahead and drive forward, and then we're gonna take the first left up here, which I'm just gonna keep clicking my item detector just in case you want to use this to kind of like help you get the directions. So we're gonna go straight. We're gonna take the first left by the stack right here, and then we'll see this spider web. Go ahead and take a right, go straight down this tunnel right here, and then keep going, and then you'll see this opening right here. Just keep going straight, keep going, and then up here at the three-way intersection, we're gonna take a left this way. We'll see another spider web. Go straight, and then we're gonna take this right up here. You can go ahead and check by seeing a spider web on the ceiling. Keep going straight, drive all the way down until you see a big giant spider web at the end, which it looks like that right there. And then this is the spider's keep. So this is where we fight the spider boss. Also, I never seen the spider boss spawn in naturally, so I think the only way to spawn it in is by getting the spider's horn. So you can get that in the combat guild in Fernhill Forest. You just buy the spider horn for like $25,000, spawn them in, and then you can get these two items down here. But anyway, some items you can only get in this place. I believe this is where I got the diamond. I don't think this is the only place where you got the diamond, but I think this is the place that's easiest. So I got the diamond here. I think I also got like the spider here, maybe the cave bat. Yeah, there's a few items to get here. So if you're struggling for the diamond, I recommend trying out this spot. But anyway, I'm gonna show y'all another spot where I got almost everything. So here we go. We're back by the elevator, and we're pretty much just gonna keep going straight. Just go the way that feels right. So we're gonna go straight, and then I'll tell y'all when to turn. So go straight. We're just gonna follow these blueberries. So basically these blueberries right here, we're just gonna follow those. So we're gonna go past this green path right here. Just follow the berries, and then right here we see the berries again. So just gonna follow them. There's more berries down there, and now we're just gonna keep following them. So there's another, and if you get confused, just look for the berries. So there's berries right there. There's berries on the left, so we're gonna take this way, and as long as there's little glowing berries while you're driving, this will lead you to the Glacial Hollow, and that is what we want. So keep going. There's another right there, and now we're at this little intersection, and oh, there's a berry. So let's just follow this way, and let's see, there's another berry right there. So there's a berry by every way you need to turn, so you can't really miss it too much. So there's another. Let's go down, and then at the very end of this tunnel should actually be the Glacial Hollow, and there we go. So we reached the very end. So at the very end there will be that little stack right there. And just real quick, before we go into the Glacial Hollow, this area right here just above it is where I got the legendary. So let me show you. So this is where I got the transnite, because the transnite, it says it's better in all your areas, but not the Glacial Hollow specifically. So the transnite and the celestial crystal, both of those I got in this little strip right here. So just grind in this area, and then you'll eventually get it. And then for the Jinn God, you can get this guy pretty much anywhere. I believe I got him by just like digging right in front of the cave entrance. So you can get him anywhere. Same with the golem. The golem I actually got before I even went down the elevator once. But anyway, let's go and keep driving down. So down here is where we get some more items. So let's just go and hop off. Also, I recommend buying a glider just because it makes it easier to navigate areas. That's why I'm like jumping so high right now. Like I actually have a bunch of jump stuff equipped along with my glider, which allows me to get around easy. Anyway, now that we're in the Glacial Hollow, this is where we can get some more items. So in this area specifically, it's good for this, the hypno mushroom, the rock statue. I think you can get the diamond down here. I recommend getting in the spider cave, but I think you can get down here. But you can definitely get the rock statue and hypo mushroom. You can also get the diglet, the gold carp, sapphire, amethyst. You can also pull out your item detector. There's a bunch of abundances. There's sapphire back there and all that other stuff. So basically just grind up there by the entrance until you get transnite and then the crystal, and then whatever you don't get, you can get right here. But if you're missing some of the spider stuff, then just go to the spider cave and then you can get the rest. Now for Mount Cinder. So here we are, we're on the top of Mount Cinder, and I don't know how this dude follows me everywhere, but like no matter where I go, he's there with the car. But anyway, from the top of here, we're just gonna go to the polar bear abundance. So pull out your item detector and pretty much just go straight and then take a right. So take a right over here, and then by like the cave entrance, and then those two giant spikes will actually be a polar bear abundance. So I bet we can see if we use it right now. So let's go and pull out our item detector. Yep, there we go. So there's the polar bear abundance, and you can get most of the items inside here. So here we go, we're now in the polar bear abundance. So you can get like every single one of these items down here inside here. But the ones that you can't get are, I believe, the cave painting, the frost bug, the ice tree, and the snowflake, and maybe even the ice staff as well. What you want to do is you want to go inside this cave. So this giant cave right here, it's a new area, and as you can see, it's marked at the top. It's still counted as part of Mount Cinder, but it's actually the Glacial Hollow. So basically in here, this is where you can get a bunch of other things. So this is where you get the ice tree, I believe the frost bug, the ice staff you should also be able to get in here. But for items such as the snowflake, and I think also the cave painting and frost bug, you have to get inside this place. But just go to the side, and then there will be this cave. So we're still inside the Glacial Hollow, but there's like this little cave on the side, and this is actually the Glacial Cavern. So this is another place where you want to grind stuff. This is also where you get the frigid shovel. I don't don't really recommend getting it because it's kind of bad. But at the very end is the glacial shovel. So inside this area, this is the best spot for the snowflake, and you can get some of the other items in here as well. Also in here, you aren't able to mine on the ice directly. So if you try mining on the ice, it won't let you. You actually have to jump up on like one of these piles of dirt, and then that is where you can mine. I recommend going to a bigger one. I believe this is where I grinded for it right here, just because this pile of dirt right here is actually bigger than like all the others. So just grind right here and you'll get the snowflake and all that other stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the copper mesa. We're now in the copper mesa, and for most of the items, once again, you can just get on sand, but I recommend driving all the way up here, which I'm actually just gonna jump up there. But I recommend driving all the way up here and then go into the little town, not the little town, but the saloon. So just follow the path, keep going straight, and then over here is the saloon. So I recommend grinding in front of this for quite a while. But anyway, go in front of the saloon, and I recommend grinding here for a while, because this is where you get most of the items. And some of the items you can only get in front of here. Like I forgot which one it was, but I think it was one of the legendaries, or I think it was actually the talking bass. But one of these things you could only get in front of here, because it said it was like the trash from the saloon tossed out to the side. So anyway, this is where I got most of the items. The items that you can't get over here are things such as the meteor, the lightsaber. I think you might be able to get over here, but there is a better spot. The vulture you can get over here. The gold nugget, there's a better spot. But for all the commons, unusual, scarce, and most of the legendaries, you should just be able to get right in front of here. But there is a better spot for some of those legendaries, and we're actually gonna go back over here. So that's the ferry ride over there. Just go ahead and drive all the way up, and then you'll see this giant area over here. Just go ahead and take a right, and we're actually gonna go to the Copper Canyon. The Copper Canyon is still a part of the Copper Mesa, but it's basically just another area to get items. So just go ahead and go all the way down. We're gonna go past the skeleton, and then this will pretty much lead you to the Copper Mesa, which is on the left over here. So let's go and fly over there, and then we'll get another title at the top. So there we go, Copper Canyon, and this is another area to get items. At this point, if you've been grinding this whole time, you probably already have gold nuggets, but there is actually a gold nugget abundance right over there. So if you haven't already, then you can get the gold nugget. Once again, make sure you're grinding in these common areas as well, because common items are pretty difficult to get sometimes, just because of how much luck you have. So grinding in those areas can help you out a ton. But for most of these items, I just went inside the golden nugget abundance right here, and inside this, I got the burger statue, the meteor, and almost all legendaries. Most of the legendaries I got inside here, besides the vulture, you are able to get the vulture inside here, but it is a lot more rare than if you tried to get it in front of the saloon, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Also, by the way, everything in purple, that is just boss drops, so don't really worry about those, because those are always pretty easy. You just have to spawn in the boss. This, I believe you can also get here, but there is a better spot. Same with the lightsaber, and same with some of these other items. So for things such as the lightsaber, this item, and a few of the legendaries that you haven't already gotten, you just want to keep going down the Copper Canyon, because there's actually another area to the side. So go down this way, and then there's actually another area, which let's see what it's called, Sovereign Chasm. So this is another place to get items. I actually just grinded it right in front of the store over here. It doesn't have to be right in front of the store, but this is where I did it just because it's a large area, so you don't have to worry about like digging in the same hole. But anyway, right in front of this place is where I went ahead and got the lightsaber. Let's go back to it real quick. I got the lightsaber, this item. You are also able to get the meteor down here if you really need to. The revolver I got in front of the saloon. Same with the horse, the bison. Yeah, just come down here, grind for a little bit, and then you should get those items. Anyway, now for the Alonga Jungle. So here we are inside the jungle, and just ignore those announcements up top. Those are kind of being dumb. But anyway, inside the Alonga Jungle, you can get all the common, unusual, and scarce items inside this little tribe area. You can get these anywhere. So just anywhere in the grass, you can go ahead and get those items. But remember to get out your item detector, because there are better places, such as a dragon fruit abundance, bamboo abundance, and all that other stuff. But then for items down here, there's actually not really a specific place. Pretty much everything in here, you just get in the grass, because there's not very many areas to just dig around. It's pretty much just all grass. So I got like every single item just by digging right here. Just inside this giant grass area, I got every single item. Also, once again, this is very important. Make sure to check the preferences, like the season preferences and the weather preferences, because these do help out a lot. If you're really struggling on an item, then I would just recommend waiting for that season or the weather. Such as for Cinder Shores, the item that I was really struggling on was this item right here. This item, I was really struggling on it, so I was just waiting for the spring season, which as we can see, it's spring right now, and then I grinded for that item, and I got it pretty quickly. One of these items, I forgot which one, I think it was the toucan, but it said that I can only be getting during the summer. I don't think that's true, but just in case, I would recommend getting it during the summer, just to guarantee that you can get it. And I know I keep saying this, but it's very, very important. Make sure to check the preferences, especially if you're struggling on getting it. Also, it doesn't have to be that season. Like, even though it's spring, I can still get the panda right here. It's just gonna be much, much easier during the autumn season. Also, for weather weather preferences, you are able to get weather horns. I made a video on the location for every single weather horn, so I recommend checking that out because we have like a storm color horn right here. This will spawn in a thunderstorm, and then we have a tempest horn right here, which will spawn in rain. So I recommend getting those because you can use them and it will help you get the item. And last but not least, Mount Charcoal. This one is super simple as well, which I mean, since we're already next to it, we might as well just go over there. But for Mount Charcoal, you can only get in here if you have the magma boots. So make sure to go over to that dude over there, right there, start your quest for the magma boots because it is pretty difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but it just takes quite a while. So make sure to get that quest and start working on it. But anyway, you need the magma boots because if you don't have them on, then you'll just burn up inside here and you'll die within like 10 seconds. So that's why you want them equipped. But anyway, item wise, it doesn't really matter where you get them. You can get them anywhere because this place is all just bare rock. And since it's all rock, it doesn't matter where you get it. But where I got most of these items is I just went up here and I just got them in this area right here. But once again, it doesn't matter because it's all rock, which in Mount Charcoal, it only goes up to legendary. So you can get all these items in like 5 minutes. It's super easy. The only items that are kind of difficult in here are the boss items because the boss over here is pretty difficult to defeat. I did upload a video of me defeating him, but basically he has 350,000 health and you only have 20 minutes to defeat him. So if you want to fight this boss, you do need a few friends to help you. If you need help defeating this boss, then I recommend joining my Discord server. The link is in the description and I can possibly help you defeat him, or you can find a team of other people to help you defeat him. But anyway, I believe it's only a 20% chance for him to drop himself. So this item right here, only a 20% chance, which is pretty difficult. So I recommend getting a team of like 3 people and then just grind them over and over a few times and then you can eventually get it. But anyway, that is the location for every single item. There are a few more things that you can do to make it easier, such as getting boost down here. Like you can go ahead and get the +2 luck from the monk. If you don't know how to get that, I did upload a video on how to. So you can get the luck from that. You can also get the luck from the cupcakes and like the haste buffs and strength buffs. So that helps out a bit more. But anyway, if you're still struggling on getting any of these items, leave a comment down below and I'll help you as much as I can to find the location of these items, because I did my best to show you the location of almost all these items in this video, but there might be a few that I missed. So if you're struggling on any item or if you just need some tips, make sure to comment down below and I'll help you out. But anyway, if this video helped you out, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and I'll see you all in the next video.